One of the things I've always struggled with is to remind myself of how to utilize the fundamentals to truly become the best duelist I can. So now we're going to go ahead and use this notebook, filling it up with notes all the way on our journey back to the absolute basics of the game.
All right. So, episode one, we're just going to jump right into the deck that we're going to be playing for Back to Basics. And we're going to start off with Old Faithful Salamangreat. So, we're just going to jump right into the deck. You guys already know about it. I've talked about it a bunch in the channel. So, we have our 3 Gazelles, 2 Spinnies, 1 Fire. The reason for just 1 Fire is that it's so easily accessible in the deck. I don't think you necessarily need more. Although I could see focusing more on this, like I used to in the past when I played Salamangreat before, maxing out on that as my normal summon, instead of playing a supplementary engine. That's something to consider, although I don't know that it's necessarily going to be the best, especially with so many hand traps in the format. I don't really like locking myself behind a weak normal summon like that, so that's why you only see one. 1 Foxy, the 1 Weasel, and Jaguar. That's it for the Salamangreat monsters. Then we go into our Coda Soul. This is a card I've been really excited to get to play. When it came out in Master Duel, I immediately started playing Salamangreat again, and it's basically the only deck I play these days. It's really solid. If you don't know what it does, if you control a Link monster, you can special summon it from your hand, and then during your main phase, you can basically reincarnate Link once for free. So you can go like Raging Phoenix and Raging Phoenix. Which is really solid, so you don't necessarily need Sanctuary. So that's actually sometimes how you play around them stopping Baylings. But then if it's in your graveyard during your opponent's main phase, you can banish it and then immediately Link summon a Link 3 or higher Cybers Link monster. So that matters because of Pyro Phoenix being able to board wipe your opponent. So that's kind of the main thing behind that. But I didn't want to focus too much on that and have that be like the only real line I had. So we just have this as a toolbox option. The other engine I'm playing, though, is the Cash Tier engine of 3 Fenrir, 1 Rise Heart. So this is something that I've seen kind of float in and out of popularity, and I think is really solid in the deck. It basically means that if you draw Fenrir, you have a starter that can also just be a standalone threat. 1 Fenrir can get you into your entire Salamangreat combo, and I'll show that here after the deck profile. But this is just a really good engine for both going first and going second, because if you just summon a Fenrir, and I've talked about this in deck profiles in the past too, this is again where that back to basics kind of comes in, and like they keep it super simple. A lot of the articles I've even written kind of all really hone in on this. Playing cards that require an answer, I think, is just a really solid plan. So if you just summon a Fenrir, your opponent is now required to answer that. It is just a threat on its own. And so when you go second and you have that, even if you haven't given any information, now they know that you're playing Fenrir and they have to consistently keep that in mind, which is a really big issue. It's obviously worse into a format where Fire King is so popular, because that means Promethean Princess is going to be in the graveyard, which then, can snowball into a whole bunch of things. And that's even a deck that I'm considering picking up is Fire Kings, because I have pretty much everything, I think, outside of the Azamina stuff, but we can always focus, on just playing like the Fire King Snake Eye deck. Fenrir is really good. It's good into just a ton of different decks. It forces out that interaction in a meaningful way right away. And it's a very small, compact package of just 4 cards. In Master Duel, which is, you'll also see a lot of gameplay from that. If I can't get locals gameplay footage, I'll be playing Master Duel to give you guys an example, and we'll talk through some of that as well. I can't play the Fenrir line, so instead we're playing the Speedroid package of 3 Terratop, 1 Takatomborg. That is also a very good option. I think the Cash Tier lineup in TCG is better because it's good going first and second, and it's also just a more threatening package. But that is something I considered, is having the Terratops and Takatomborg, which are actually in my little battle pack, my battle box, or whatever you want to call it, the little box of cards I always bring with me to tournaments. So that's something I'm considering as well, just in case I feel like the Fenrir line just doesn't make sense, or, it ended up underperforming. Then for hand traps, we have 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Of course, in Salamangreat, you got to play Ash Blossom. It's a fire, so it's recyclable by your Sunlight Wolf, which is obviously going to be really good. 3 Joel and Lockbird, and then 3 Mild Charming Fualos. The lineup here is actually to counter their Fualos specifically. I can easily play under Fualos if I have Droll. I really only need to be able to search once and that's really just the Balinks. Like you can get away with not having another search. You can play around that. So if I summon a monster and then they Fualos, I can Balinks, search, and then I can also droll, which is really good. That's just something to consider as well for the future, because I don't want to deal with them having Fualos and me not being able to have it. So I have 9 anti-Fualos cards, which just, obviously makes going second a lot better. If you don't have that and you're trying to join me on this journey, don't worry about that. You can always just play other cards too. It's definitely not a big deal. Then we have the 3 droplets, the 3 circles, and then I'm only playing 2 minings. So this is a decision that is very intentional. When I was building the deck, I realized that I have a ton of starter cards, and that mining is just the worst starter card in the deck. Having a -1 starter is obviously not beneficial. It just means you have less options to work with. But I still wanted to have it just in case I open up with like a graveyard-oriented hand and I need to get to Gazelle, because sending the card for cost and then adding Gazelle, you can always then activate that Gazelle, which is pretty solid. I really like Circle over mining because obviously Circle being able to just be a 1-for-1, it also has different modes, which is really good. I think if I was playing Lady Debug, I might play 3 minings, but or even playing Buffalo, although I think Buffalo got a lot worse because of the lack of multiple copies of Goes in Rivalry. But with that in mind, I think that having 5 spell card starters is going to be really beneficial, and just make this deck really consistent. Then we have the 1 Sanctuary, of course. It's our engine requirement. 1 Will. I typically, historically have really liked multiple copies of Will, but with how easily searchable it is in the deck, I don't think you need it as much. And also, because of cards like Promethean Princess and Salamangreat Charge, you also have different ways to extend. So locking yourself into just having multiple copies of Will, which then makes your subsequent draws worse, I don't like a lot. So that's why you see only 1 Will. Salamangreat Charge is an insane card, and I think it actually really helps this deck a ton. So it's got 2 effects. Can target 3 fire monsters that are banished or in your graveyard, and you shuffle 2 of the 3 into the deck, and then you special summon the remaining monster. But then its effects are negated, and it can't attack for the turn. That's totally fine. If you think about it, that's actually a way to recycle your additional Salamangreat names. It's also a way to dodge cards like Call by the Grave, DD Crow, or if you draw the charge afterwards, it's a way to recover from that. So if they like DD Crow or Call by the Grave or Promethean Princess and you need it back later, you can always just use charge for that. Its second effect is if you control a fire, ritual, fusion, synchro, exceeds, or link monster whose attack is different from its original attack, you can target 1 card in the field and destroy it. That's really good because of the secondary effect of Sanctuary, as well as the stat modulation of Raging Phoenix. So that's going to be something that'll come up, I think, once in a while, too. I think that that's actually a really overlooked effect. Everybody focuses on the special summon, but they don't focus on the fact that it gives you another utility card, another card to destroy cards, which is really good. And then the 1 Call by the Grave, again, just to stop their Fualos, their graveyard effects, things like that. Then for traps, we're playing the 3 Infinite Impermanence, of course, 1 Rage and 1 Roar. I think that having the utility of both Rage and Roar is going to be really good. I've seen some people not play Rage in the main deck. I've seen people play multiple Roar. I've seen people play multiple Rage. I think just 1-1 makes sense. I'm not playing a card like Pot of Desires, which even when I was playing that, I would still only play 1-1. But I know that a lot of people have always been iffy about playing 1-1 under Pot of Desires. But since we're not playing a card like that, because this deck is actually just so absurdly consistent compared to how it used to be, I don't think you need to play more copies of cards like that and make your deck less stable overall, just to have those access to those cards more often. For our extra deck, we are playing the Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Horse Prince. You definitely need this for the Code of Soul line. I think if I cut that, which is definitely an option that I'm considering, I would then take out the Horse Prince as well as a couple other cards. Then I'm playing the 1 Mirage Stalio, 1 Draco Sack. This is part of the Cash Tier Salamangreat combo, which like I said, I'll show you guys here in just a little bit. And then 2 Balinks, 2 Sunlight Wolf. I know some people like 3 Balinks. I don't think it's necessary at all, especially because of, like I had mentioned, Salamangreat Charge. You get to recycle those banished cards, and then you can always recycle the charge with the Sunlight Wolf, so you could basically have the ability to never run out of extra deck resources. And then you've got the 1 SP Little Knights, just as a utility card. Cherubini, which pairs with the Mecha Phantom Beast Dracosack line. That's how you get access to your Kashtira cards via just... or you get access to your Salamangreat cards via just the Kashtira cards, is thanks to Cherubini. This card's only ever been used for evil, I swear. Then Hida, Promethean Princess, and then 2 Pyro Phoenix and 2 Raging Phoenix. I'm not playing a 3 Raging Phoenix lineup. I honestly just don't own a 3rd Raging Phoenix, and if I did, I don't know that I'd necessarily play the 3. If I cut the Kashtira engine and the Coda Soul line, then we would cut the Pyro Phoenixes, the Cherubini, the Fire Fist, and the Dracosack, which opens up a lot of options. That is something to consider if I wanted to go with a like the Zelantis line or Access Code. Another card I'm considering is Cyber's Wicked, because that is a really solid card. Lets you add monsters to your hand. You can also go with the Dekotaka Heat Soul then if you do that, and get some additional draws that way. So that's something to consider. But so far, this is what we've concluded with the extra deck thus far, and we'll have to see how it goes. For the side deck, it's primarily going to just be like whatever cards. So we got 3 Perulia for when I go second, and then for when I go first, I have the 3 deck lockdown. I think deck lockdown is really good right now. I think pretty much every deck is going to struggle into it. Fire King, can't access pretty much anything. Snake Eyes in general has a hard time. Fiendsmith is really going to struggle. So all those Fiendsmith decks, even Rescue Ace can struggle into that, and that's a deck that I think is actually pretty powerful right now. Then you've got Branded, obviously, just tons of like all those kinds of different decks that are just all over the place. Deck Lockdown is kind of all-encompassing, really good floodgate card. Duster and 2 Cosmic Cyclones. I just want to have the utility of the Cosmic Cyclones, because I also have in the main deck, you do have removal in the form of Foxy, which I think a lot of people overlook. So I don't need to play too much back removal, and I can just have precision removal instead of having to have the board wiping of Lightning Storm and stuff like that. Also being able to hit cards like Runic Fountain that can't be protected by Hugin, or hit Fire King Island that can't be protected by Sanctuary is going to be really good. Double Triple Tactics Talent. Typically I would be main decking this card. I am very much a proponent that this card should be main decked pretty much by everybody all the time, but I just didn't have room for it. I was, making room for other engines and things like that, but I think that when you go second, it just makes your Perulias, your Fualoses even better. It just lets you side into more board breakers, and you side out of more of those weaker going first cards, so that's going to be there. The 1 rivalry for when I go first. I can also consider Goes in Match, and that's something looking at it now, I think might be worth considering, is playing Goes in Match over rivalry or even alongside it, because you are playing pretty much one type, one attribute, so you get the best of both worlds. And then 3 D barriers for pretty much everything, especially Tenpai and Nubel, both of which would struggle into deck lockdown and D barrier, so having both of those combined gives you 6 cards to draw. And that's actually something else too, is if I'm playing cards like the Heat Soul package later, that I get to see these cards more consistently, or if I'm playing cards like Triple Tactics Thrust, I can see D-Barrier more consistently as well. But that is the deck. I'll show you some combos, and then I think we got to re-sleeve this because these sleeves are looking a little beat up for my taste. So let's jump into those combos, and then we'll get ready for locals.
Okay, so first round is done, and I played against Dark Magician, which, sure, he was newer, but it was really cool because game 1 I got to do the full Kashtira combo, where I end on Raging Phoenix, Pyro Phoenix, a trap card, and then I took out the SP Little Knight for a Amblo Whale because I figured that was going to be worth more in the long run, and it ended up being really beneficial because he opened with Raigeki, and then I protected my 2 big guys, the 2 Salamangreat monsters, let the Amblo Whale die, and then I got a Sunlight Wolf back, so then when I activated Coda Soul to reincarnate Link, the Pyro Phoenix, I blew up his field, and I got an additional card back off the Sunlight Wolf, which was really good. Overall, it's feeling really solid. I think there are definitely a couple of sequencing things I could have done a little bit better. I think I probably could have played Like, just the ordering, I think, could have been a little bit cleaner, but for the first duel of Back to Basics and, really just honing in on that, it seems pretty solid so far. Okay, just finished round 2, and I played against Generators. There's like this one guy who he plays the deck a ton, and he's pretty solid with it. But game 1, let's see, I think I won the die roll. I just opened up like the stones. I did, normal Salamangreat combos, so he couldn't really do much. He tried to establish a field, and Pyro Phoenix with Coda Soul just kind of shut that down, so that's really solid. Game 2, he went first. He ended up sitting on a Hyperiton, the Generator rank 9 that lets you draw cards. Har, I think, is the other one, the one that negates the field spell, and then like a Valkyrie monster, which just gave him the ability to have another monster in the field. I drew for turn, so he had a spell draw, and I drew a Cosmic Cyclone, and then for turn I drew Infinite Impermanence. He activated the draw one again. I let that go. I drew Droll and Lockbird. And then when he activated Har, I chained Imperm. He had Droll. So then there was that, and then he used the Har as well. So that locked down pretty much all of his interactions, and then we were both under Droll, which was fine because my hand had Gazelle in it, so I was able to push through. Couldn't do much under Droll, so I ended up establishing just Pyro Phoenix and Roar. So then on his turn, I could Code of Soul the Pyro Phoenix to board wipe, and I would have the Roar to back it up, and that was enough to win the game. So we're 2-0 right now, and there's 2 rounds left before we're done for the night. So we'll have to see how it keeps going. Okay, so last round, I played against Ritual Beast. He ended up giving me the win because it didn't matter. X1 or better gets prizing. I was X1. He was undefeated, so he just gave me the prizing so that we would both get it. But we played for fun. We had a really intense game 1 where I opened up like the full combo and everything. Opened up super well. And then he drew Shifter for turn, managed to like break my board, and we went back and forth for like, I think 30 minutes total. So that was pretty cool. Game 2, I couldn't play through Shifter plus full combo. And then game 3, I opened up fairly well. He shifted me, so then he shifted and Perulia'd me. So I went summon Salamangreat a fire. I added a monster, and then made Balinx, added the field spell, and then I activated Deck Lockdown. That shut him down for a turn. All he could do was summon Winda and attack. Then I countered by summoning Fenrir, and then normal summoned my Gazelle, Foolish Burialed my Foxy, and then I used Foxy's effect to bring it back and destroy my own Deck Lockdown, locking him out of being able to use, no longer preventing the lockdown from stopping me from playing. Unfortunately, that just wasn't enough, and he won the match after giving me the win. So we went 2-2 overall, 3-1 total, and the deck worked pretty well. We might try Salamangreat again, might switch it up for Striker, who knows, but overall there's like a lot of good notes, not many misplays happening, so it might even be worth switching to a different deck that I'm not as familiar with, just to make sure that like I'm really learning from these experiences, because playing a deck that you've played before, like it's kind of like riding a bike. You can jump back on it and it'll be fine. And I think I really need to learn like a new deck. So we'll see what happens tomorrow at the next local. Okay, so we're at locals number 2. Signed up, ready to go, got our deck. But this time, instead of playing Salamangreat like we did yesterday, we're gonna actually play Sky Striker. Salamangreat was great, and it felt really good to play, but I think it was too easy to win games with it. I think it was too familiar, so we're going to try something a little bit harder and see how it goes. We got our entry packs, and we're just going to jump right on in.
Okay, so really quick, I'm going to show you the Sky Striker deck that we're going with for tonight's locals. It's just Ryan used Sky Striker deck, basically, I think with like a couple, like maybe one change in the side deck. So we're just going to go quick. I'm not taking credit for this by any means or anything like that. So we'll just jump really quick through it. So there's the 3 Ray, 1 Rose, no hand traps, 3 Engage, 3 Widow Anchor, 2 Linkage, 2 Shark Cannons, 1 Multi-Roll, Afterburners, and Hornet Drones. That's it for the Striker cards. And then 3 Upstart Goblins, 3 Triple Tactics Thrust, 3 Pot of Desires, which I'm a big fan of. You know, I love this card. 2 Triple Tactics Talent, 2 Regeki, 2 Lightning Storm, 2 Forbidden Droplets, 2 Cosmic Cyclones, Rhoda, Harpy's Feather Duster, Call by the Grave, and Infinite Impermanence. So in case you're unfamiliar with any of these cards or why there's certain ratios, the reason why you see like so many 2 ofs is because you're ripping through your deck between the Upstart Goblins, the Triple Tactics Thrust, the Pot of Desires, and the Engages. You're seeing so much of your deck. Oh, even Triple Tactics Talent. You're seeing so many cards in your deck that you don't want to see a lot of these cards in duplicates. So that's why you see them cut down to 2. That was a very deliberate decision by Ryan that I really liked a lot. So I just wanted to highlight that really quick. And then the extra deck, I'm playing the Typhon, 3 Kagari, 2 Shizuku, 2 Hayate, 1 Kaina, 1 Zeke, 1 Dark, 1 Hida, 1 SP. I didn't have a regular Azalea, so I went with Azalea Temperance, and this card has been really good. As just a way to link climb into Access Code Talker, and just in general, I think this card is actually very strong. What it does is it has to be link summoned, and then if it's special summoned, first it has to be link summoned. If it's special summoned, you can banish a spell from your hand or graveyard, and then target 1 monster your opponent controls with 2,500 or less attack, and then you equip it to it as an equip spell. And then when it's destroyed by battle, you can special summon 1 Sky Striker monster from your hand or graveyard. So you can just like use this to take some of their monsters. I use this to take like a Promethean Princess once to prevent it from being able to go to the grave again. I used to take an Ambler Whale and stuff like that. And when this dies, you can just bring back Kagari and stuff. And then Access Code Talker was the last part of the extra deck. And then for the side deck, 3 Droll. This is because I don't have 3 Dominus Impulse, and I figured I just wanted another really strong card. And also with just the amount of people playing like high search count decks, I figured maybe Droll would get there. 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 different Dimension Grounds, 3 Dimensional Barrier, and 3 Threatening Roar. Because against decks like Tenpai, you're going to need this for when you go first. So that's the deck. We'll have to see how it does tonight, and hopefully we come back with some pretty awesome prizing.
Okay, so round 1's done. Just played against Tenpai. He won the die roll, so I had to go first, which sucks when you go in second with when you're like blinding second with Striker. So he won game 1 pretty quickly, which that makes sense. Game 2, I ended up winning pretty quickly as well. And then game 3, he had me go first, but I decided into the 3 Threatening Roars and the D barriers. He activated like Shifter right away, so I grabbed Roar, giving myself a guaranteed next turn, and then grinded out from there. And he just couldn't really do anything through like the actual grind game. Yeah, I think the deck overall has been really good so far. Like, I mean, it's only 1 round, but it's definitely much more challenging than Salamangreat has been. So that's good news, and we'll have to see how it goes. It's only gonna be like a 3-round local. It's really tiny tonight, but it's still a couple of good games, and yeah, already pretty challenging. So we'll have to see. Okay, just finished round 2. I played against the Fire King Snake Eyes Azumina deck, the best deck. I ended up winning 2-1. I won game 1 like super quickly. I OTK'd him, and it was just pretty much over. Game 2, he had me go first, and I just like couldn't do anything, or maybe I don't remember. But then game 3 was like a super back and forth game, and I ended up outgrinding and winning out, resolving like Engage I think like 4 times in 1 turn at one point. So it was just super one-sided at that point. I used Shark Cannon to banish his Promethean Princess, I used another one to banish his Flamberge, so it's like super duper over. So one round left before we get prizes, hopefully. Okay, so we just finished last round. I played against another Tenpai. He wasn't as experienced, so that sucked for him. But he won game one. He did the whole like OTK, which makes sense because he won the die roll, so I had to go first. Then game two, I ended up winning with triple Widow Anchor. And then game three, I used Threatening Roars and D-Barriers on repeat, and then used Kagari to get back Shark Cannon, and then used that to get his Promethean Princess back, and I just like won the game from there. It was really cool. So yeah, another 3-0. Prices aren't gonna be great, but it's something. So okay, yeah. So last night went pretty well. We went undefeated. I mean, it was only a 3-round tournament, so it was 3-0. Played against 2 Tenpai and then a Fire King Snake Eye. But the key that came up there, though, that I noticed looking at my notes here is that my technical play was really bad against the first Tenpai. He won the die roll, which, you know, that makes sense. And I couldn't do much because, as you guys saw, I'm playing Ryan's deck list for going second. Game two, I forced him to go first, and outgrinded, but that was really close. And then game three, I had to go first again. And the only reason I won was because I thrusted for Threatening Roar, so he couldn't attack. And then I forced him to have like a really weak setup from there and outgrinded. And then against Fire King, you know, I had mentioned in the recap that I outgrinded, but I think the issue that's come up with both decks so far, both Salamangreat and Sky Striker, is that I'm so comfortable with them that there isn't much of a challenge to playing them and playing them like efficiently, or at least passably. So we're gonna switch it up because comfort is the enemy to growth, and so we need to be uncomfortable. And so we're gonna go with Fire King Snake Eye tonight, which is a deck I've never played before. I've played pure Snake Eye, and I've played like Cashier Snake Eye and stuff, but I've never played the Fire King Snake Eye deck before, so this will be really interesting. And yeah, so I'm gonna go build it, and then I'll show you guys what we're gonna play for tonight, and then we'll see how these games go. All right, so we're going to go over the Fire King deck that I'm going to try for tonight. We're going to see how it goes. Like I said, this is my first time like actually playing this deck, so it'll be really interesting because there's, I think, going to be a lot of notes that we're going to be taking. There's going to be a ton of misplays, I'm sure, and a lot of opportunity for growth. So we'll just jump right on in. Unlike the Striker deck, there's no budget here. I'm going like full send as hard as I can, so you're going to see like the Mulch Armies and stuff in this deck. But let's just see what we can do. So for the Fire Kings, we have 1 Grunix, 1 Arvada, 1 Ponix. I only own 1 Alconix, so I'm only playing the 1. 1 regular Grunix, and then the 2 Kieran to go with it. These cards all just seem crazy. Kieran's obviously insane, being able to dodge, or help you dodge, like, Effect Veiler, Imperm, things like that. I don't think I need to explain most of these cards, but I'm just going to kind of explain some of the logic. This is very heavily based off of Jesse Cotton's budget build, too. And then I'm just changing, you know, budget for what I have. So that's why you'll see, like, the Mulch Armies and stuff. But then for the Snake Eyes, you have 1 each of Flamberge, Oak, Poplar, and Ash. Just, like, the best normal summons in the game right now, honestly. So we have those. And then 3D Bellstar, the Black Witch. And then for hand traps, you have the 3 Fualos, the 3 Ash, the 3 Droll, and 2 Ogre. There are Imperms as well, and I'll actually go into some of that in a second. But the hand trap, again, the main thing here is these 9. I think these 9, the Fualos, Ash, and Droll, are really good because they all combat opponents having Fualos themselves, and give you your own Fualos. And I think that that's just like a really important dynamic to have right now. So we'll have to see how that goes. And then for the rest of the deck, we have 3 Bonfire, 3 Wanted, the OSS, the Island, and Sanctuary, 1 for 1, Call by the Grave, and Prosperity. Prosperity is a card I'm not totally sold on.
I don't really like it in decks where I'm playing a bunch of draw cards, but I think I need the consistency because I don't play the cards like Deception, which I just don't own. I don't own the Azamina cards at all, so I have to play what I've got. So I'm playing Prosperity to help bolster that consistency, even though it does conflict with the draw effect of Wanted. And then the 3 Imperms as well. And that's actually something I like about this deck a lot, is so between the 3 Imperms, the Call by the Grave, 2 Ogres, 3 Droll, 3 Ash, and 3 Flawless, that gives me 15 non-engine cards. So I have and I'm playing exactly 40 cards, so I have a very high percentage to see a good amount of them. In some of my past videos, I've gone over the math. I can go over that again in a future video if you guys want, to some of the deck building math that goes into these decisions. But so that's the main deck, 40 cards. The extra deck, you've got Zombie Vampire, Photon Lord. This might be number 38. There's a couple things I'm considering changing. I might change this for number 38. It depends on whether or not I think Nibiru will be enough of a problem. This is mainly there for Nibiru because... obviously, like I said, I don't have the Azamina card, so I need to have a way to effectively play around Nibiru, and I feel like between this and Arvada, you're pretty solid. This could also be a Fuko if the Tenpai matchup seems a little rough, but I don't necessarily know how well this deck's Tenpai matchup is quite yet, so we'll have to see. And then when Garunix Eternity, Anima, Phoenix, Sunlight Wolf, SP, Dark and Hida for the Charmers, IP as well. Double Princess, this is something I'm probably... I don't really like the idea of. I get the Princess being the most important card in the extra deck, but I think you only need one. I could see taking it out for the Fuko. So that's something I'm considering as well. Or even like a Typhon. Like, I could drop the Galaxy Lord for Fuko and drop 1 Promethean for Typhon, and then I have even more agency. That's something I'm going to probably consider in the next couple hours before I go to locals. But then I am playing the Zelantis OTK, so you have Zelantis and Raging Phoenix, and then Amblo Whale as well. Because like I said, I'm playing the best I can here. We're trying to do as well as we can. So really quick, the things that might change are the second Princess, and this might come out for Fuko and Typhon, which if that does happen, I will mention in my round by round breakdown. And then side deck, this is where I'm really torn. I've spent, I think, probably 40 minutes on this already so far, and it still could very well just change in the next couple hours before I go to locals. The 3 Perulia, 3 DD Crow. I like DD Crow a lot right now. I know the Bestials are better extenders, but I like that DD Crow can hit spells and traps, especially against the Azamina, the Hallowed Azamina, and then into Pearly. It also can hit stuff like the Labyrinth traps, which do matter because at my local that's a somewhat popular deck. And then it can also hit the Goblin Biker cards, which I think matters as well. So we're just trying out Crow. And then I'm citing Skyburn and 2 Cosmic Cyclone. So I've noticed that this deck has a really good way of effectively hitting back row, but I wanted to have precision hits, and I figured that having Skyburn as a side deckable, a side deck searchable option would be really good. So that is something we're considering as well. Just as a potential board wipe that I can always search off of Ponix. And then 3 deck lockdown and 3 debarrier for when I go first. These could be threatening Auroras, but I think that deck lockdown just does more into decks like Ubel and stuff like that. So I figured between deck lockdown, debarrier, and then all these really good going second cards, I would be set enough to be good to go. So we will pack up this deck. Like I said, there's still a couple things that might change. We're gonna have to see, and we're gonna get going to locals as soon as we can. Okay, so just finished round 2 of 4. I'm currently 2-0, and yeah, it's gone pretty well so far. I played Labyrinth round 1. I won the die roll and opened up the full combo, I think. I ended on Amblo Whale with a fully loaded graveyard and everything like that. So it was really good. And then I ended up winning that game really quickly. Game 2,
He goes first and sets 4 trap cards, and sets up like, his normal really good board, which sucks. But I am able to push through it with all the Fire King cards, and then I end up establishing like the Garunix Xyz monster, which is really solid. Pop another back row after forcing it like a Welcome Labyrinth and stuff like that. And then he just can't keep up because I load my graveyard, so there's that, which is really good. So that was round 1. Round 2, I play against Mermail, against one of the better players here. He gets to hang out with, he hangs out with like the best players here, so it's gonna be a tough matchup. And he wins the die roll. I open up Fualos, draw like 1 or 2 cards, and then I droll just to lock it down. He establishes a Toad, and then I do like Fire King lines, and very quickly just like establish control of the field. Game 2 was a lot of the same, so far it's been pretty solid. There's been a lot of really interesting points with this deck where I realize like how much of the game is in your control because of cards like Kieran, and how many triggers you have to keep track of with like Ponix and Garunix, Arvada, things like that. So it's really tough, but it's been really good so far. So hopefully we get to win at least one more and get some prizing. Hopefully we go undefeated and we go 4-0 with the best deck we've played so far. So here we go. Okay, so round 3 is over, and I'm 3-0, so that went pretty well. I played against a Cybers, like, Link pile, and I wasn't really quite sure, like, what the win con was, but I won, I think I won the die roll. But anyway, game 1, I just, like, killed him really quickly, and then game 2, he went first, and I used Ash and Crow to shut down his couple of pushes. And then on my turn, I did a really weird Zelantis-ish OTK, where he Book-a-Mooned my Garunix Xyz, so I had to find a way to get rid of my island, destroy the island, which then destroyed the Garunix, which then brought back the 2 materials under it, and then I just kept climbing and won the game up from there. So 1 round left. Hopefully we can go 4-0 and get some awesome prizing, so that's pretty awesome. So far this deck seems pretty solid. There's a lot of like really little things, and I think having not played with the Snake Eye cards since YCS Raleigh, I am definitely rusty, but it's going really well, which is good. So 1 more round. Okay, so we just finished up. I went 3-1, lost to Goblin Biker, Fiendsmith. That deck is just like, I can't beat that deck. I don't know what it is. I can't beat that deck. So I win game 1 pretty handedly. Like I just OTK him, and I opened up like this stones. He opened up every week. Game 2, I opened up like all Fire King and like no interaction really, like hand trap wise. Make an okay field, but then he uses all of his Goblin Biker effects to like attach my monsters as material, which sucked. And then game 3, I opened up 3 Ash Blossom, Diabell Star, and Garunix, the new one. And so I go Diabell Star, send Garunix. He negates the Diabell Star effect, I think, with Valor or Imperm. I then go set Ash Blossom and pass. And my logic being that he would then have to use an effect to remove the Ash Blossom, as well as use an effect to remove the Diabell Star because it would come back. But after talking to another player, I think what I was supposed to do is normal summon the Ash and make an SP and just kind of pray. That would give me 2 layers of interaction, because I'm probably dead anyway. But then if the SP lives, on the next turn I can summon my third Ash Blossom, go into the Promethean Princess, bring back Runex, and get to play that way. So I think that one kind of came down to misplay. I drew really badly, and I think I was tunnel visioning really hard on like the long-term value of the Diabell Star. But yeah, so went 3-1. I ended up getting I think 4 booster packs, so I got 2 Rarity Collection 2, nothing crazy, but we're going to pack up, go home, look at the deck, and get ready for my next tournament because, yeah, this deck went really well, so it's good news.